Understanding a dismissive avoidant is very difficult, and if you're dating someone like that, or if you're not sure whether your partner or your ex is dismissive avoidant, you have to watch this video. In this video, I'm going to explain you those common traits so you can recognize whether your ex or your partner is a dismissive avoidant, but also more interestingly, as I'm kind of a former dismissive avoidant, I will also explain you the psychology, the thinking process behind those traits, behind those signs, behind those difficult situations that you're going through with your ex or your partner. And it's very important if you want to get back with a dismissive avoidant. It's very important for you to understand those traits because you can adapt your communication. The last slide is the most important one of the deck, because I'm going to explain you what you should be doing if you want to get back with a dismissive avoidant.
IGetMyExBack.com. Everyone deserves a second chance.
The first one is not returning calls. It's a classic one. Also not giving you any news after a great date. You have a great time with your partner and he or she's not returning your calls. So they take days to answer your message. And the way you feel is, you feel that you're the only one reaching, that you're the only one investing in the relationship, that it's a one-sided relationship, or it's only on his or her own terms. It feels like, yes, you're the only one interested. Does he really love me? Is he really invested in this relationship? Maybe that's the thing you might be thinking. It's really not about your feelings, it's really about how they approach closeness. They don't feel comfortable necessarily communicating with you. They don't feel necessarily the need to express things. So a thinking process that someone might have, a dismissive avoidant, would be, I saw you the other day, I had a great time, and I don't feel the need to check in or have a small talk because I know I'm going to see you next week, and that's way enough for me, right? And it's nothing about their feelings towards you. It's nothing whether they are not interested in you or not. It's just that they don't feel the need to communicate with you, right? Telling you that they are not ready to commit, it's a classic one, obviously. They find excuses to postpone, pretend they had a traumatic experience with another relationship. That's a classic one that I've heard recently. And what you feel is they don't care about you. You're not important. We've been together for 2 years. We see each other on weekends, just on evenings. And you don't want to move in with me. What's going on? Are you in love with me? Does it mean that you're not really into me? Does it mean that we have a future together? Their thinking process is that they don't want to compromise on their freedom. Being committed, sharing a place with you is like a prison. If I share an apartment with you, I know I'm not going to be able to do whatever I want because I'll have to compromise. And I don't like to compromise. If I meet with your parents, it means that we are committed, there's a lot at stake. And I feel like, well, I'm not sure. I love you, I have a great time with you, but deep inside, I have this insecurity about that commitment, okay? Dismissive avoidant, they have a fundamental fear of commitment. That is why it's very hard to date someone who's dismissive avoidant if you do the right things, if you display the right attitude, and if they love you, you can work it out and make them more secure. We'll look at that at the last slide. Bear with me. Focusing on their partner's flaw, it's a classic one as well. And you might see this sort of passive-aggressive type of behavior when they'll tell you something super nice and then a bit nasty. Like, I really like this new dress that you have. It's way better than when you wear the ones you bought in the 80s. There could be many things like that. And when you're with someone like that, you feel that you're not good enough. And in a way, that creates a toxic dynamic and you feel more anxious. If you have a tendency to be an anxious attachment style, then it makes you even more anxious. Even if you're secure, and I have a lot of clients who are usually secure in a relationship, but when they date someone who are dismissive avoidant, it makes them more anxious. It makes them less confident. They think they're not good enough because, every day they are telling them, I don't like this, this is annoying, all these kind of things. In a way, dismissive avoidant, they want to feel superior. Themselves is more important than the relationship. right? And so it's always great for them to feel that they are kind of better than you, right? Not in a nasty way. If they really care for you, they wouldn't think like I'm better than you and I'm more, but it's more like their person is more important, right? So thinking process of a dismissive avoidance. I'm annoyed by the way she always leaves the cupboard open. I don't like the way she's messy. Could be tiny things of the day-to-day things. That's why also dismissive avoidant are really struggling living with someone, because they have to live with their imperfection. We all are messy in our way. We all do things in our way. And it's very hard for dismissive avoidant to accept that. And the problem they have is that the more they grow in a relationship, the more attached they become, right? And the more attached they become, the more avoidant you will basically deactivate those attachment styles. So we have those attachment styles. We are deeply attached to our primary figure, as with our parents when we were kids, with our partner in adulthood. When you are showing them, you are investing in a relationship, in a way you are deactivating those attachment styles, those attachments. And so what it creates is that feel for them to only look at the negative things, to watch out for things, to think of ways for them to be more detached, because they have this fantasy that actually there's another option. There's always a better option. This is what we're going to see in the next one. Comparing with the ex, and it's similar to also looking for other partner. We'll see in the next slide. They will either think about it or say it verbally. And it's called the phantom ex phenomenon, theorized by Dr. Amin Levin. And it's basically the idea that because they are not with their ex anymore, anything from the relationship that was overwhelming, i.e. being together, sharing time, compromise, idealize the relationship, right? Because what they don't like in relationship is being in a relationship. But it doesn't mean that they don't like having sex or sharing moments or memories with someone. It's just that it's the relationship, it's the couple thing. So once you become their ex, they kind of fantasize about the relationship, which is actually good for you, right? And so often, not all the case, and the same for these traits, you won't necessarily see all those traits in your ex or in your partner, but sometimes they feel that they're not completely over with their ex. And you have the feeling that you're compared on a daily basis, right? So I was talking about where he used to go, what she was doing, or what he was doing, these kind of things. Thinking process of an avoidant. I like her smile and sense of humor, but my ex was more athletic. So again, going back to looking at the flows, idealizing their ex. I'm pretty sure when they were with their ex who was more athletic, they'll think like, I'm bored. And they're never happy, they're never satisfied, which is very difficult as well. So they have to learn how to accept the other. You have to also learn how you can communicate, how you can adapt in a way. I'm not talking about being over-adaptable, because if you do that, it's not going to work long term. And that's what we have to assess. Again, the last slide is very important. The other one is flirting with others, and that makes you more insecure. So it's a very classic one, regardless whether it's female or male, dismissive avoidant. So they often want to seduce and be attractive. The reason they do that is they want to be reassured about their attraction power. They're in a relationship, they really like the chase, they really like seducing, but now they're in a relationship, and so they need to test whether they still got it. They need to test whether they're still in prison, they want to feel free. Right? So, a way to diffuse what I said, like the sense of dependency. And you may feel like cheated, disrespected, he's talking at girls at the bar, or she's clearly hitting on the guy at the gym, or things like that, or the PT at the gym, or things like that. The thinking process is that I like when I can see that I'm still attractive. It makes me feel free, right? Also the sense of power, dismissive avoidant, because they have a high self-esteem in a way. They really want to, actually in a way, low self-esteem, but they want to be reassured by seducing people, thinking that I am a great person, right? And I don't necessarily need one primary attachment figure to feel loved, because I can seduce anyone, I still got it. So they want to be reassured in a way. Avoiding sex, physical contact could be don't want to share the same bedroom with you. For example, like refused public display of affection. They rarely kiss you. Sometimes they don't necessarily keen to have sex. And what you feel is like, well, we're not intimate anymore. He or she must have lost feelings for me. It's really like a balance. What you have to understand with a dismissive avoidant, they want the relationship, but when it gets too overwhelming, they will pull back. They want the relationship, and they will pull back. So usually these things about not having sex, for example, withdrawing from sex, is usually temporary. With the right communication, with the right approach, you can help your partner to open up, to discuss about that, and to be aligned with him or her, but it's temporary. The display of affection is just that they don't feel comfortable. It's not something they've seen in their childhood. It's something that is actually negative. They might be saying like, I feel shy, I don't want to express this. And it doesn't mean because they don't like you. It doesn't mean because they don't respect you. It's just that they don't feel comfortable. It's really about the safety. Also, another thinking process that they might have is like kissing, is having sex. If I kiss you, I'm aroused and I want to have sex, but I don't want to have sex in the street, right? I don't feel right. So I'm okay to hold your hand. That's my maximum. Okay, if you really want me, I'm okay to hold your hand. I don't need that. It's not that I kind of like it, but I don't feel the need. I don't feel the urge to hold your hand. Love, that's not that for me, right? So you might see those kind of signs, traits in your situation. And I'll be very curious to, if you can put in the comment section whether your ex or whatever I describe makes sense or you can relate to that. What you have to remember, you can deactivate that attachment. So when I say deactivate is because we have all a deep need for attachment. When we are displaying anxious traits to our dismissive avoidant, when we are insecure in our relationship, we can deactivate and therefore they pull away. Okay? If you're not secure. However, and I've seen that and I see that every day, I see people who are very secure, who are struggling with dismissive avoidant. It's really with advanced communication skills that you would be able to make it work. Right? It's very important. You can be as secure as possible. If your partner or your ex is a dismissive avoidant, if you don't have the right communication tools, you're never going to be able to connect with that person. It might work for a couple of months, maybe a couple of years, but at some point they will pull away. Of course, it's very important for you to understand their psychology, and it's important that you're watching this video because now you have a feeling that actually I did nothing wrong. He's like that or she's like that, and perhaps in a way deactivated some of his attachment, but I'm not entirely responsible. It's not because he or she doesn't love me. Now, putting into practice this advanced communication skills is difficult because it's really based on his or her reaction, and everybody's different, and obviously those traits are similar amongst dismissive avoidant, but then you have to align that with your situation, with your history, with the tone, with the state of mind, whether they are ready to progress, whether they're ready to make an effort, and all of that. So if you want your partner to be more secure, if you want to get back with your ex who's a dismissive avoidant, you have to really ensure that you use the right communication tools, that you are displaying something secure in their eyes, which is actually different than what you would perceive as secure. That's the difficulty of that. What you think is secure is not exactly what they think is secure. If you're struggling and want to have a bit of context and help, give me a ring. You have my contact details in the description. There's the link to book a free discovery call, 15 minutes, where I will help you get unstuck and maybe confirm that your partner or your ex is dismissive avoidant. And there's also my WhatsApp if you want to send me a message. Bear with me, I have a lot of incoming messages every day, so I'll come back to you as soon as I can. Take care of yourself. Don't hesitate to like as well and to subscribe. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.
I get my exback.com. Everyone deserves a second chance.